Good day and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. So glad that you're joining us today as we get educated, empowered, elevated, equipped to make a difference where we are. Let's get started with Inside the News. Today, we're going to start with information that can help us all as we work in different environments, discussing workplace safety and health. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has partnered with many other entities federally to elevate the need for occupational safety. There are research programs, data and statistic opportunities, publications and products, and yes, even information on how COVID 19 has impacted our workplace environment. Centralized access to data and statistics shows that researchers are looking and hearing and want to know what you're feeling returning to the workplace. This is a very popular conversation because many feel unsafe still knowing that there's communicable diseases that are all around us. COVID-19 elevate a heightened alert and awareness to working occupationally telewise, at home, in other words. Remote work picked up like never before. There are some agencies that totally shut down office buildings and now have 100% telework staff. Learning how to maximize the best from people in a comfortable work from home state. However, that has taken a toll on the US economy and economies globally. Let me break it down for you. Consider those small mom and pop shops that were outside of your office building. Consider the ones where you used to grab a donut on the way into the office, or that little coffee shop that you would stop by for lunch. How about you grab the salad from the different lunch locations outside or in the basement of your building? Well, all of that foot traffic, those dollars depleted when individuals and companies move to a telework environment. So now the government, the federal government, has gotten involved and elevated the awareness that tax dollars, there aren't enough to save small businesses. So they want to push that we get back to a environment where we can pour into small businesses. Now, that's a good thing for a small business owner, right? Many families rely on the business that mom started or grandma started, great grandma years ago, that were put in a great location so that they could provide for their families. Maybe you own an umbrella stand and you most of your traffic picked up during the bad weather days, especially outside of those heavy locations, right? The metro or the subway systems. Maybe a lot of your businesses was around selling books. And you had that wonderful newspaper book stand outside of that office building where folks picked it up on the way into work. Well, those individuals need our help. So while I'm one of those who loves working from home, let me tell you how I've built an entire routine around healthy living, how I get up differently, how my time is better effective. I don't spend an hour and a half commuting both ways, right? We have to think of the bigger global economy, the impact that your dollar makes as you prepare to return to the office. There is a big push. And a lot of our jobs require us to be able to be in at least a hybrid location where you go in the office a few days a week and can work from home. So, as you consider how your safety and health remain your priority, consider going to the Center for Disease Control. The CDC has many resources available, as we were sharing, around trainings, around how there's publications that have been produced that address hazards and exposures. Maybe things you should be more aware of now as you decide whether to wear that mask in the office. CDC.gov is an amazing resource. Also, the CDC recommends that you tap into the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA.gov. Their entire focus is on helping to make sure you can help grow you as a professional in whatever field you're working in. OSHA offers information on workplace stress, for example, and how to maintain your mental health as you return to those environments. Consider OSHA.gov to get information that can be valuable to your workplace. See, we still want to be successful professionals, right? We still want to thrive. And most importantly, we still want to pay the bills and provide for our families. But there's a way to do it where you're equipped and educated. Go to OSHA.gov to get more information in the different type of resources, guidance, and tips they have available for employers to help employers prepare for your workforce to come back and share the same space. What are you prepared to do to help with those who feel the anxiety of returning, but still need to be productive? And how about how, as an employer, you can help shine the light on the well-being of humanity? See, productivity and deadlines don't change, but you'd rather make people feel valued, part of a team where they matter. That's how you get the best out of your workforce, reducing stressors. So OSHA also offers opportunities and information, even tips for employers. Family, we hope this information is helpful as we all look to rebuild our economy. We want to support small businesses. We want to help tap into those that help pour into our communities so that our tax dollars aren't as stretched. Okay, the federal government has our tax dollars going in many different ways, but what you do with your cash can make the difference in someone else's life and well-being. Come on, take this information and this knowledge and be empowered. Family, we're going to keep moving as we have a wonderful conversation with a very special guest right after this, so stay tuned.
Hi, guys. It's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast, You See Me. I want you guys to stay encouraged, continue to come out and see me, and most importantly, see yourselves. Remember, the only way that you can truly enjoy life is to see other people so that you can enjoy the beauty of seeing yourself. Come join me Saturdays at 4 on the We Empowered Network. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Power Up. Oh, we're going to go into this amazing segment with a returning guest. Family, go with us into our motivation moment as we welcome Miss Chiquita Rhodes. Chiquita, who is a global, world-renowned actress and who is an empowerment speaker on many different levels. Motivation is an opportunity to pour in and inspire others. And we received so much positive energy from her being part of a prior broadcast that we wanted to make sure to bring her back so that she can share more insight. Welcome, Chiquita, to the Power Up.
Having me. I am so excited to be here once again. Thank you so much for having me to the Power Up because it's time to power up, okay? Yes.
Well, we know that your impact is huge, is amazing. And for folks, give me an opportunity to just reintroduce this amazing woman. Someone who is so selfless that we see her on many different platforms, from speaking to large global audiences to one-on-one coaching. Miss Chiquita Rhodes is the CEO of Beauty, Brains, and Jesus, and is an empowerment speaker. So, Chiquita, one of the responses that we received after having you last time
Yeah.
was how humbling you appear to be
Oh.
someone who's on a global stage, even in film. Tell us, if you will, what individuals should know about your story.
Whew. I tell you one thing you should know about my story is that I always say my story is written by God. He is ordering every step because I believe the steps of a righteous person is ordered by the Lord. And so he writes the story. And I always want to make sure that I align and humble myself to Jeremiah 29:11, which says, I know the thoughts and plans I have for you, says the Lord. Thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. And so when you align your faith and your spirit and everything that you do in your plans around God's plan for you, which is the perfect plan, which is his will, not my will, but his will, I try to make sure that I consistently, consciously, and intentionally stay in that frame of mind and remember that I'm not here on my own. I'm here because God created me to be here, but it was for his purpose. Now, he gave us free will to choose. But we all know that there are consequences with choosing your will versus his will, right? So we have to align ourselves with his will. And so I continue to try to do that. I'm not a perfect person, but I do not believe in being perfect, but I believe in being right. And the only way you can be right is aligning yourself with the Father, okay? With what he wants you to do. And so that's what I continue to do every day, intentionally and mentally, is try to align myself with what does God want from me? What is his will? What was his original intent for my life? And seek him for that and try to align my faith, my life, my finances, my emotions, everything with that plan that he has for me.
I so love your heart and I love your energy. Faith clearly is something that's so important to you. But I do
Yeah.
want to share this with viewers. You share empowerment with those who are not of the same faith. Tell us, as someone who again has a following the way that you do, how important it is to tap into those who might not believe the same you do.
Yes. So in the industry that I'm in an entertainment industry, right? And we know that with entertainment, there's all different types of people from every race, every background, ethnicity, beliefs. And what I do know that is important in order to grow, right? In order to transition and grow to the next level, you cannot do it with just the people that are like you or that think as you do. If you're going to grow and if you're going to expand, if you're going to excel, and if you're going to be even, I would say, God's representation in the earth, you cannot do it just among the people who think like you. Because if that's the case, then you're not changing anything. You're not influencing anyone but yourself, right? So it's so important that in this industry, especially with acting, that I connect with people who are different, who have a different perspective, and learn how to collaborate with those people. Because remember, wherever you are a light. So you bring the light to every platform, every situation, every room you walk in, whether that room believes in your God or not. You actually have the power to influence them by your light. And I love this saying because most people, when they meet me or they interact with me, they constantly say, I get this all the time. I love your energy, your energy, your energy. Well, they don't know that their energy has a source, right? And it's God, it's the Holy Spirit, it's my relationship with God. That's where I pour from. So I'm able to take what God has given me and take it to rooms where ordinarily people would not show up in a church or come to a function where believers are. But you can take who you are into a different atmosphere, a different setting, and actually change and transform other people's lives or a whole nother arena. So it's important that we consistently collaborate, partner with people that don't just think like us or believe like us, because not only can you learn from them and we can learn from each other, they can learn from you, but you can also learn from other people. Because remember, experiences is what make people, right? And if people haven't experienced God like you have, you actually have the ability to give them an experience just with your love walk, just by bringing joy to their room or to their event, or just by serving something that means something to them or that brings them purpose. You really are the catalyst. You really are the one that can bring the change. So it's important to connect with people who are not like you, because you truly cannot grow and expand without it. And it even expands your character, right? It teaches you how to communicate on a different level, because I think the greatest ultimate way of communicating is communicating with people who don't think like you. How can we find a common ground? How can we still, the saying, agree to disagree, but still collaborate, still work together? It happens every day, right? In the workspace and work in the workforce. So that's my feedback on just collaborating, connecting with people that are just may not be on the same page as you. It's challenging, but it's necessary. If you want to go to a new place and a next level, you have to connect and link with people who do not think like you. I'm gonna give you this example, and then I'll let you move on. Every time I go into a room, and this recently happened, where I felt someone, didn't quite connect with me, or there was some resistance. And the one thing I know, that people, the universal language is love. The one thing I knew, I said, if I get a hold of them, I'm going to speak life to them. I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to uplift them. I'm going to speak into them and tell them who they are. And every single time, that breaks the barrier and it kills the walls that people have. So if you will learn how to not be, overly sensitive or offended by different people and different personalities, but if you understand that everybody's language, everybody has a love language, and everybody receives love the same way. If you pour into people and speak into people and encourage people, they cannot deny that. So that's one way. Another way to connect with people of different mindsets, different perspectives. Just think, I'm going to pour into that person. They may not receive me now, but they're going to receive me, because you can't resist love. Okay, nobody can resist love when it is shared, when it is given. You accept it.
That's good stuff. I should have pulled out my pen and paper. I know better to have it when you're talking. But
Me
let's keep going. Talking about connecting in our differences and
too.
being able to do it on multiple levels. There's one thing to be able to walk and speak face to face with a person, but you have an ability that I have witnessed to change a room, an atmosphere,
Mhm.
and where people feel differently after just encountering you. That's something that often isn't taught, but actually can be mentored. Tell us,
Mm.
how would you say that? How big is mentoring for your platform?
Oh, mentorship is highly important for my platform. The reason why is because I do believe in the philosophy where you should always have someone pouring into you that you're receiving from, and then you should also be pouring into someone else. And that just keeps the flow of life, growing. That also keeps growth, right? It's kind of like the rain goes into the ground and then it comes back up out of the ground and comes back, the whole precipitation thing. There's a flow to that, right? So mentorship is so important. It's so important to teach people what you know, because also that's how legacy is passed. Legacy is passed through information, through knowledge, through resources. So if when people encounter you, you want people to encounter you and feel transformed and actually feel a difference, that you've touched their lives in some way. There's a saying Maya Angelou said. She said, people may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And so that is key. When you leave someone's presence, you should have you should be a walking billboard for yourself. Like your marketing strategy should be, when I leave out that room, or when I to know who I am. I want them to know not just who I am, but who God is in me, right? The God in me. But you want to leave that presence. And so mentorship, I believe, helps even in that aspect, because you're able to teach people, something. I do say some things can be taught, but some things have to be caught, right? But in the situation with mentorship, you can catch it and you can teach it. Okay, you can catch it and it can be caught and taught. But it's important for my platform, because with BB&J Lifestyle, Beauty Brains and Jesus, it's a platform of getting women together and pouring into one another and teaching each other and learning. There's a saying that I've heard, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. when you are ready to grow, when you're ready to learn, when you're ready to go to another level, whether that's in your finances with budgeting, whether that's in your career and coming up with strategy and plans to move forward, whatever it may be, when you're ready to learn and you're hungry and you're thirsty, there will be a teacher ready to teach you. There's somebody there ready to mentor you and pour into you. So it's crucial to your next level, to your growth personally, mentally, and spiritually.
And how important it is that we understand our worth in the walk, our
Yes.
worth in the earth. Like many of
Mhm.
us discount ourselves because, well, Chiquita's here, so there's no sense in me doing it because I can't do it like her, or
Nope.
she's gonna do it better than me. So how I know your passion and your heart for youth and for
Mhm.
women and pouring in self-worth is so important. Share with us tips in case there's a viewer who might feel that way.
Yeah, so tips for self-worth. I'm going to always go with a biblical foundation. I have to go with a faith foundation. But I do believe, number one, you have to pull from a source, right? There has to be a good source that you pull from, a good resource. One of those resources for me, of course, is the Bible. But outside of that, there are books. Find you an author. Find you someone that you can look up to that may be living the life or have the characteristic, the personality, or they're doing what you desire to do or becoming what you desire to become. And read their books. Allow that to pour into you. Allow that to feed you, right? To feed your mind, feed your spirit, feed where you're going. And I think that is so huge, that is so important. Even for myself, I do the same thing. There are people, I mean, from all walks of life, whether it's someone in ministry or someone in the entertainment industry or someone that's good with finance, whatever it may be, right? You find that and you read those, you use those sources to pour into you, to glean from. And I think that's so huge and important because you got to feed your spirit, right? Your eye gates and your ear gates. You have to feed that. Those are the doorways to your mind, your mental and your soul and your spirit. So you have to find somebody. There's somebody out there that you can glean from. But the Bible for me is my source, right? When it comes to self-care, self-love, because if I don't first learn who God created me to be, who I am to him, then it's kind of hard for me to really understand how to love myself. So I do go back to the source, which is God, and discovering who he created me to be first. And that, to me, is the foundation for learning to love yourself, for self-love, because it's clear that you cannot align until the vertical alignment is right, your horizontal alignment won't be right. So that means this relationship has to be right first, your vertical, and then your horizontal will speak for itself. It will affect all your other relationships. So just feed yourself the source and feed yourself truth. Just and ask God, if what I'm putting my eyes to, is this culture or is this kingdom? Because culture got a whole different idea of what self-love is. Sometimes you can look at self-love as the culture can look at it as from a selfish perspective. But when you look at the way God considers how to love yourself, it's totally different. It's totally different. It's literally like the more you give to God, the more you give, that's you really begin to discover more about the love for yourself. So the more I love on God, the more I love on myself. I'm learning how to love myself, and then I'm learning how to love others, because then what happens? A standard is created, morals are developed, there's boundaries that are created. And people don't think about that when they think about self-love, but if you love yourself, you're going to create boundaries. You're not going to let anything just happen to you, or anybody just run over you or treat you any kind of way, because you have learned what the Father said about you, and you've learned his original intent and purpose for you. So now you learn to love yourself, even to the point where there may be something you want so bad, there may be somebody you want, but they may not be good for you. And so loving yourself means telling yourself no. You have to tell yourself no. So self-love for me is going back to the source.
Hmm. Well, and I thank you for saying, in a broad perspective, whatever your source is and resource, because it's one thing to say you're someone and not do the work and not
Right.
build and grow. One
Yeah.
of the other things that you emphasize is education and information and how powerful that makes you in whatever climb you're doing in your ladder, in your career. If you could speak to those who want to grow professionally into different endeavors, maybe they never thought they could author or never thought they could be on the screen, never
Hmm.
thought they could be part of plays, all that you're doing, they might want, but we don't know your story and the start. What
Yeah.
would you say to those who just need to start?
Whew, to just start. So here's the thing. You find somebody that's once again doing what you want, reach out. And you always want to make sure you're reaching out to someone that's accessible because I will say, some people are not as accessible as others, but find someone that's accessible. I'm accessible. I'm here. So, and I love pouring into people and I love motivating and encouraging people and influencing them to do something different, something they never done before. A lot of people do reach out to me and say, hey, I want to get into acting. Or I really want to do theater. I never done it. I'm a little scared. I'm like, hey, you're starting at the best place. Just start get connected with someone and allow someone to get you connected, because sometimes it takes a person to be that bridge for you, right? So and I'm a person that can be a bridge. I'm a bridge carrier. I'll be the bridge. But connect with someone that's doing what you want to do and just start. There's a book that Joyce Myers has. It's called Do It Afraid, and you just have to do it afraid. Sometimes you have to do it that's when you need to do it the most, when you're afraid. And I'll say that having that mentorship, having someone to be that bridge for you, reaching out, just taking that initial step just to say, hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want to try this. I'm thinking of doing this. Make it known, communicate it, because if no one knows that you want to step into a different arena or you want to try something new, if no one knows, then no one can help you. So be willing to open your mouth and say, hey, this is what I want. I want to try this. And you will be surprised how far that will get you. It will take you far. And I have this where I'm at today, opening my mouth and saying, hey, I want to work with you. Hey, I'm an actress. I want to do this. Hey, I've never done this before, but I want to do this. You will be surprised where it gets you just by reaching out, making that initial contact, and then showing up. Show up, because showing up lets people know, okay, this person is serious about this. They're committed to it. And so show up. So open your mouth, say something, reach out, make the connection, and show up. It's that simple.
I love it. I love it because it does. It shows you're viable, reliable. It shows your resilience, your heart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And your gift will make room for you, but you gotta move in the gift. I
Yes.
was told years ago, and that if you look at a dancer who loves to dance, they don't just sit down and you not know that they're a dancer. Oh, yes, ma'am, you are, amongst so many other things. But that you'll see dancers twirling in the room and people stepping back to give the dancer space. Your
Yes.
gift will make room for you and get people to notice you. It's just a matter of the start.
The start. That's right. There's so many people that have started, even in acting and entertainment, that they're like, I've never acted a day in my life, and they're past 40 and 50, and they started. There's a lady that played in Wakanda. She's in her 70s, and she was like, I don't even know if, there's any use for me, but I'm just going to do it. In her 70s, I'm going to try it. She just got her headshots, just stepped out on faith. First time doing anything, she was in Wakanda, one of the village people. At 70 something years old, it is never too late. Never too late. I have an old mentor that I used to live with back in North Carolina. She was a retired science teacher, and she used to wake up and say an affirmation of love. And she wanted to be married again. She wanted to remarry because she's a woman. She loves to love, and she's like, Lord, I want a husband. And she's in her 70s. She got married at 77, I believe it was 78, living her best life. Man moved her across the states, got her a brand new car at 70, living her best. Now she's doing a book tour at 79, 80 years old. Like, it's never too late. You just have to do it. You just have to step out on faith and do it. And don't compare yourself. Don't measure your level of success to someone else's success, because everybody is different. Your journey is not the same as someone else's journey, but you will never know until you try. You got to try. You have to do it.
and start today.
Yes.
And stop waiting and sitting on it. Listen, one of the things that I say often is when people say, Tammy, you're on 1,000 doing everything. I said, I'm trying to go to the grave empty.
Yes.
I want it all in the planet and in the earth somehow. Chiquita, as always, you are so powerful. And yet, family, you wouldn't even understand. This sister is so humbling. Just loves people. Chiquita, where can folks get in touch with you? What do you offer as far as services so that individuals can receive some of this energy?
Absolutely. So you can follow me on IG at charming.chichi, that's CHICHI, or I also would prefer you to follow me on my BB&J lifestyle page, which is BBJ_lifestyle on Instagram. And on Facebook, I'm just Chiquita Rhodes, my name. On Facebook, I'm also BB&J Lifestyle. And I do offer lifestyle motivation courses and just one-on-one time. Will be doing a conference, a women's conference this year coming up. The dates are to be determined. They're coming soon. It's looking towards the end of the year, maybe August. But I am going to be doing a women's conference, and it's centered around the garden. And so we're going to take women back to the Garden of Eden, where woman was created, and we're going to rediscover her all over again. It's going to be a holistic approach to the woman and the garden. We're going to have some activities. We're actually going to learn how to plant our own gardens physically, but also spiritually. So you're in for a treat. It's a holistic approach to living. We're going to learn how to take care of ourselves because our bodies and our temples are gardens, and we're going to learn all of that. It's going to be a hands-on interactive experience. So get ready. It's not like it's going to use all the 5 senses. All your senses will be utilized. So stay tuned.
Listen, I'm looking forward to being there. Make sure I get yes. And just so that we're corrected, it's www.bbj_lifestyle.com.
No, so the website is www.bbjlifestyle.com, but on Instagram it's bbj_lifestyle. Yeah, just bbj_lifestyle on Instagram.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you, producers. We have the best on the block. I should have known they had it perfect. Thank you. bbjlifestyle.com family. Miss Rhodes has agreed to come back. She's going to be one of our regular to pour in as we receive questions from viewers about certain topics. We promise to bring you the best. And you just heard in advance of the conference that's coming up. We do plan to share that information as well. You can always tap in to the We Empower Network. Chiquita Rhodes, amazing powerhouse that you are. Thank you. I know that you're not even in your office today. You're commuting. So we thank you for prioritizing this interview. Family, hold on. There's so much more to come. There's more after this.
Yes.
Thanks, Chiquita.
Wow.
Hey family, it's Tammy, your empowerment coach with this elevation moment. What would you love to do more than ever? If you had time, money, freedom, what would you do? That's what you want to tap into, fulfillment of your life. While you're dealing with the busy stuff, right? I got the kids and I have to go to work and grocery shop and cook dinner and I'm planning a big event, and it's okay to still be you, but allow yourself an opportunity to enjoy the journey. Oftentimes we get head down, caught up in the tasks, and we forget to notice the beauty of the journey. Make sure that as you live this thing called life, that you do things that fulfill you as well. Put on your to-do list that fun indicator, that happy factor, whatever will bring you joy so that you're living and doing it on purpose. Welcome back to the Power Up family. We're going now to discuss effective communication in response to a viewer inquiry. We thank you to all of our viewers who submit any thoughts or comments or questions for the production team to consider as we put our show together. Excuse me. One of the things that we received a few different thoughts on was around communication. Not just in relationships as far as husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, but also as far as professionalism, how to be a speaker and communicate well. We want to talk about that. So, as we discuss communication, get your pen, get your paper. We're going to discuss a few tips with you right after this.
I can't let nothing get in my way.
All right, everybody. So listen, I don't know if anybody has told you, but let me be the first to put a bug in your ear, because what we are doing, the Queens of Empowerment have come together, and not only are we empowering you in the morning, baby, we have shifted into queendom behavior. Yes. That is our new show that is coming out, and we are so excited because we want you to tune in, because I tell you what, we are empowering you all day long. Yes. In the queendom way, right?
In the queendom way.
Yes, queendom behavior. Make sure you check us out. Stay tuned for the announcements so you can know how to see us and when to see us, and let us just empower you all day long, all day, every day.
Welcome back to the Power Up. Communication effectively is important on every level. So, one of our viewers wrote, Tami, I want to grow as a speaker, as a presenter, and I want my team to believe in what I'm saying. What tips can you share? You wrote into the right one, honey. Communication is a passion for me. We often think that as we deliver information, that's communication. Have you ever sat in the presence of a teacher that bored you to pieces? Didn't communicate well, huh? In other words, you might have heard what they were saying, but did you retain it? You may have been listening in the moment, but were you actually fully present? There are differences to effective communication. Thank you, viewer, for submitting your question. A few tips are to consider your audience first. In other words, you wouldn't speak to 3-year-olds the way you would to college graduates. Why? Because they don't necessarily retain the same way. I can use 17-letter words with college graduates, while a 3-year-old, I could probably get a message across where they understand it better, maybe with Elmo's help. Right? The reason that you start at a young age learning the alphabet with a song is because kids are more able to retain in a musical way. You can read the dictionary to a 3-year-old all you like. Do you really believe they're going to retain all that's being shared? Okay, so remember, this is about effective communication. Consider when you speak to your audience, who you're speaking to, and what the topic needs to be. One of the other flaws with a lot of speakers is rambling, or you're sharing so much information, people can't retain it all. So they get nuggets and pieces, but then they're not sure of what to do with it. Some of the most effective speakers you'll find add personal stories when they're delivering a powerful message. They might make it a way where it's personal. where the crowd can understand and feel like they get it, right? Like there's that personal connection. There's humor involved. You've made people laugh. So now the seriousness is down to I can feel what this individual is saying as well. How important is it when somebody says, I love you to make you feel, right? How important is it also then that your body language and your tone become an effective part of what you're trying to say? So if you just say, I love you and walk away, is that going to grip and make me feel the love as if you were so compassionate in that moment, showing empathy and shared that at the time I needed to hear it most, the way that I needed to hear? Let me give you an example. One of the most powerful communication between husband and wife is understanding sometimes that the man has the ego and the woman has the emotion. In other words, my husband can bring me a dozen roses and it will melt me. And he doesn't have to say, I love you, especially if he knows I'm in a space where I just need to feel appreciated. At the same time, I know the right time to call him Big Daddy, to make him know I appreciate him going and providing and paying the bills. Now, I have a job. I contribute to the income. I'm a CEO. I have my own wonderfulness going on in my life, but I don't treat him less than. Our love language is to make sure that he feels like a viable partner in all of this. And for those of us in the faith, as my covenant. So I honor him and I say thank you. I counsel folks a lot. And one of the things in a lot of marriage counseling that gets brought up is the husband will say, I wish you would just say thank you sometimes. Communication. And then it becomes the how. So let me bring this to a workplace environment. Do you lead teams? How often do you show gratitude? See, individuals will buy into the mission. And most of them will follow a leader into the hardest battles if there's integrity in that leadership. In other words, if they can trust what you say, if you're willing to be an example and a partner in it. In other words, not just the one that's given dictatorship, but they feel like you'll get in the trenches and you understand the struggle. So when you're communicating with your team, it also becomes the how they feel valued. Family, you want to communicate effectively? Know your audience. Interpret and make sure what you're saying is so digestible, so personalized that they feel the words that you're saying. I oftentimes am the bearer of bad news in my job. I'm the one that's flown to a certain place to meet with a political or someone of a high level to tell them that they have to repay money that nobody wants to hear you have to repay. What I have learned is this wonderful technique I'm going to leave you with. It's called the sandwich approach. I learned this from someone in the military. In the military, they're taught to end and begin with yes, sir, yes, ma'am, honoring the authority they're speaking to. Number one, they know their audience. Number two, they know how to communicate with that audience. In other words, if the sergeant says, did you go have lunch? They say, sir, yes, sir. The answer is yes, but they're starting understanding the audience and ending with honoring the audience. The sandwich approach. So I've learned the value in that when I have to give bad news to someone, even as a law enforcement chaplain, standing side by side with those who serve and are often dealing with their own life struggles, honoring the person first, giving the information because truth is important. If someone's deceased, you have to share that. If you don't have the money to pay a bill, you have to let your husband know that. If the baby's asking for a whole lot for their birthday and you don't have it, you're going to share that. But it's also ending with valuing them. Consider adapting those tips as part of your communication style. And you'll find it's not just a way that you converse with your team. You speak to your boo differently. You'll speak to your children differently, your neighbors. You become a master in understanding that communication is something you grow in. You don't just speak and that's it. Otherwise, it's all about you. When you want someone to understand, to appreciate, maybe even to take the message and run with it, then it has to be delivered in a way that individuals can carry it. I'll put this as one example. How often do you appreciate when people remember your birthday or say thank you after you've exhausted doing working overtime? Or maybe you just carried the bags of your neighbor to their door. Or maybe you've said something and it just rubs you the wrong way when people don't say it back, like good morning. All communication styles, some verbal, some nonverbal. Your body language matters. Your tone when you do speak matters. People feeling what you say matters. We hope these tips were helpful, family, in how to build effective communication. Remember, if it's just you doing all the talking, that might be the issue. Because listening is just as important as what you say and how you say it. Family, stay tuned. We're going to into our wrap up. What a powerful segment we've had. We'll be right back.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry Y. Hicks, 1/5 of the amazing queens of empowerment from the Empowered Morning Show. And I am here to personally invite you to join us for the premiere of our brand new show, Queens of Behavior. That's right. We have a brand new show coming out. And before the world gets to see it, we want you to see it. So join us April 27th at 8 p.m. in Douglasville, Georgia at Studio T on Chapel Hill Road for the premiere of Queens of Behavior. It's a red carpet event, so make sure you dress for the occasion. We can't wait to see you there.
Welcome back to the Power Up. Amazing things happening on the We Empower Network and in your life. And we want to celebrate it all. We started today's segment Inside the News, elevating that the CDC is sharing information on how you can have workplace safety and health. Listen, we got to return. We have to find ways to help these small businesses. We have to find ways to pour into our communities. We don't want a lot of vacant buildings. We don't want a lot of properties being run down. What we want is to be thriving and thriving together. So when you have the opportunity to return to work, go to the cdc.gov website and learn information that they can share on how you can be healthy in your work environment. Listen, we can't stop communicable diseases. No one saw COVID-19 coming, but I'll give you this. The flu has been out here for years. It's a communicable disease. That's how it gets around. The common cold, family. Folks coughing, not covering their mouth, touching the doorknob. You go touch the doorknob, wipe your nose. There you go. Communicable diseases have always been present. So let us take control of the situation and learn how we can be healthy as we return to an environment that makes our communities great. Also, you can go to the OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. They have real tips, real-time statistics, and information that can also help you prepare. And employers, you're not sure what to do now that the folks are coming back. There's information there for employers as well, because employers are ultimately responsible for the health and safety of the staff. As we all deal with it individually, let us also be good partners and neighbors. Take the information that's shared by the CDC and OSHA and share it in your community so that we can all be healthy and again, thriving together. We were so honored during our motivation moment to welcome back Miss Chiquita Rhodes. Chiquita, who is the CEO of Beauty Brains and Jesus. Wonderful actress and empowerment speaker, poured into many of our viewers as she shared different tips on how to start moving forward, reminding us not to compare ourselves with others doing what you might see as the same work, because your journey is your journey. But she also emphasized the need for mentorship and connecting with those that you see are successful. We're so grateful that Chiquita took time in her travels to do what she does on a global platform to pour into us today. And we look forward to having her back. Family, great information and a super powerful woman. Feel free to tap into her as she can help pour into your events, and look for her upcoming conference. Also, just discussing effective communication, how important it is that you're not just dumping information on people, expecting them to absorb it, but that we're better together, communicating effectively. We thank our viewer for submitting your question, for asking about not just how to be better individually, but how she can or he could communicate better to their team. Because trust is part of teamwork. Integrity is part of leadership. And how you communicate all of that is both verbal and nonverbal. In other words, folks watch what you do, and oftentimes your actions speak louder than words. Come on, I know somebody heard that before. Grandma told me that one. Family, you can be amazing and have amazing folks around you achieving amazing work, because that's what we're designed to do in this earth. Make it better. You can do that in an effective way. Remember also that part of communicating is listening. If you're the only one that's dumping, and haven't taken opportunity to hear what folks' opinions are and what they're saying, then the information only can only go but so far. So you want to do it effectively? Know your audience, know your body language, your tone, and make sure that you're buying information in, gathering it, obtaining feedback so that others feel part of your discussion. People want to feel differently when they encounter you, and they should. But what is it you want them to feel? That's part of your communication. We're grateful for all of your time today and for being part. We hope you feel powered up. We hope that as you continue to embrace the amazingness of you, that you think about in those moments when it's hard to do that, the amazingness of others around you. Listen, we're surrounded by amazing people. There have been amazing pioneers who have gone on before us. Do you know that the GPS and Wi-Fi were created initially by women, but it all started as an idea, and then they birthed it and then patented it? But all of that means you've got to start. Otherwise, it stays up here as an idea. Family, there's so much that we need from you right now more than ever. Because remember, what you have to put in the earth will make a difference to generations to come. Start now so that our grandchildren are better, and their grandchildren, and the legacies that you'll leave behind in your family can also bloom and blossom. I would for you to consider this. Every plant comes from a seed. Even the mighty oak at 100 feet in the air started as a little acorn. But the acorn started, once it hit the ground, took root and started to grow little by little. And before you knew it, it was doing wonderful things for that oak, that eagle family living up there in that oak tree. Come on, family, who can you be and pour into others with? What do you have that's so essential that we need it? And it's not about Tami doing the same thing, because I can't do it the way you do it. So let us all be empowered and grow together now more than ever. We hope the information was helpful. As always, our production team wants to thank all of those who put themselves in harm's way on a daily basis. Our 911 responders, the emergency personnel, our medical professional, and a salute to our veterans, the trailblazers who have gone on before, who have taken time to serve our country, and to those active duty right now. Thank you for your service. Family, we hope all of this information was helpful. Everything from how you can be healthy and safe in the work environment, to feeling motivated and inspired, to gaining information in communication, all to help us be equipped, educated, empowered, and elevated to make a difference. We look forward to you joining us again, and we'll see you next time.